Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at if you can solve this riddle, you're a psychopath. Let me ask you guys a quick question. Are you a psycho? Well, if you can work out these riddles, then I will decide whether you are or you're not. We're going to be looking at 3 very simple riddles, and if you get all of them right, then you're probably a psycho. First off, we have the note. Now, this is a detective riddle which only a criminal mastermind would be able to work out. One day, a very rich man had been taken from his house. A detective gets to the scene of the crime and finds a note on the floor. This is his only clue at the crime scene. Now, the note says 1st of January, 4th of October, 5th of March, and 3rd of June. That's all it says, and it doesn't provide any more information than that. But the detective somehow knew that the kidnapper's name was in this note. But it was encrypted within this mysterious and seemingly nonsensical message. The detective also had 3 suspects who all could be the kidnapper. One of them is named Jack, and he's the son of the guy who was kidnapped. The next person is named John, and he's an employee of the person who was kidnapped. And the last person is named June, and she's the wife of the person who's been kidnapped. So I'll give you guys a few seconds on screen right now to try and work out who the kidnapper is. Is it Jack, John, or June? Use the note as a clue. Okay guys, did you work out who's the kidnapper? Was it Jack the son, John the employee, or June the wife? Well guys, in case you didn't get it, I'll reveal the answer right now. The kidnapper was John, the employee. All you have to do is read the note. But when you're reading it, you really need to think outside the box. Let's look at the first line, 1st of January. For the 1st of January, you need to look at the first letter in January, which is a J. Then for the 4th of October, you need to look at the 4th letter in October, which is an O. For the 5th of March, look at the 5th letter in March, which is an H. And for the 3rd of June, look for the 3rd letter in June, which is an N. Of course, J-O-H-N makes John. So that clue led the detective to John the employee, and he was found to be the kidnapper. If you got this right, then you're a great detective and a criminal mastermind too. But don't think you're a psychopath just yet. Try and work out the next 2 riddles on the list. The next riddle we have is Bad Apple. One day a woman invited her friend over for dinner. She made a delicious pot roast and they thoroughly enjoyed it. Then for dessert, she got an apple and cut it into 2 halves. She gave one half of the apple to her friend with some whipped cream. She then gave herself the other half of the apple and put the cream in a different bowl. She then ate her piece of the apple and her friend ate the other half. But it was later found that her friend had passed away from poisoning. But how did the host survive despite them eating the same apple? Remember, even though they ate 2 different halves, it was still the same apple, so why did her friend pass but not her? I'll give you guys a bit of time on screen right now to try and work it out. Well guys, in case you didn't get this, I'll give you the answer right away. The reason why her friend passed away from poisoning but she didn't was because the poison was in the whipped cream. The devil's really in the detail here. Remember, she served the whipped cream up on her friend's apple. But with her apple, she didn't have any, she simply put it in a separate bowl. This is something that actually happens in lots of real life crimes. It's called misdirection, and it's where the criminal tries to act smart. They basically direct detectives to something else which seems suspicious but isn't. This then makes them look innocent, when really they've actually done a crime in a totally different area. In this case, the misdirection was in the apple, but the real crime was poisoning the whipped cream. If you got this one right and the note, then you're a great detective and criminal mastermind. But to prove you're really a psycho, you need to solve this final riddle. And that riddle goes by the name of 2 funerals. Usually if you get a riddle right, you may feel you're very intelligent. But if you get this one right, maybe you need to take a trip to the therapist. Well, here it is. One day at her own mother's funeral, a woman meets a guy she doesn't know. She instantly falls in love with the guy and thinks he's her dream man. However, she forgets to ask for the man's name or phone number. Afterwards, she tries to find out who he was, but to no avail. Then 2 days later, the girl takes her own sister's life. But why does she do it? You may be wondering, there's literally no reason why this girl would have taken her own sister's life, but there's a very good reason only a psycho will guess. I'll give you guys, some time on screen right now to try and work this out. Okay guys, did you figure it out? If you didn't, then good, that means you're not a psychopath. But any psycho would get this answer, and that is that the girl took her sister's life because she hoped the mystery guy would show up at her sister's funeral. That's right, she hoped this mystery guy would show up at her sister's funeral and then they'd be able to get a relationship going. Psychopaths only care about themselves and don't take others' feelings into account. That's why she would think nothing about taking her sister's life simply so she could have the love of her life. Many people wouldn't get this, as you may think, why would you take someone's life simply to see a guy you like? But to any psychos, this would be very, very obvious. So if this came obviously to you and you haven't heard this riddle before, then that's a bad warning sign. According to the magazine Psychology Today, only 1% of the population are psychopaths. But that still means there's over 7 million psychopaths in the world. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for how many of these riddles you got correct. The more you got right, the more likely you are to be a psychopath.